अभी बोलिए.
Brigadier, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can hear you, sir. Good morning.
Who are the guests?
Only Honorable Mr. Suresh Prabhu. He is the chief guest, sir.
I'm seeing so many people here.
So they are faculty also who have joined in along with the students.
I see. The subject is youth, role of youth in development, is it? Huh?
Sir, the
Sir
event
has joined, sir.
आता प्रभू सर जॉईन झाले.
All right, students, let's start, please. Kirti and
Sure, ma'am.
Komal, Kirti
Sure.
and Ratin,
Yes.
all the best.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Very good morning to one and all present here. I, Komal Preet Kaur, along with Ratan Bhatt, on behalf of SIMS MUNsociety, Symbiosis Institute of Management Studies, Pune, and Symbiosis International Deemed University, would like to warmly welcome all of you to the opening ceremony of the first event of the year, SIMS Youth Parliament 2021.
SIMS MUNsociety has successfully organized multiple national conferences with the aim to widen the students' outlook and to provide them with a platform to work together to solve the problems of the human race.
SIMS Youth Parliament perfectly embodies SIMS' core philosophy of making a difference by giving students an opportunity to hone their debating skills, having peaceful and effective dialogue wherein ideas lead to actions and action leads to positive changes. It is essential to never forget that small ideas have the power to change the world. Some of the most brilliant breakthroughs in the history have had their origin from fundamental ideas that have been very simple.
Change is the most prominent characteristic of a progressive society. Change brings with itself the promise of hope, peace, liberty, and justice. Our aim is to have the parliamentarians bridge the boundaries of religion, region, culture, values, and language.
As we gather here today to simulate a youth parliament in order to develop democratic ethos in younger generation, with a view to strengthen the roots of democracy, inculcate healthy habits of discipline, tolerance of the views of others, and to enable the student community to know more about the working of the parliament.
Komal, continue.
We are privileged to have with us MP of Rajya Sabha, Shri Suresh Prabhu, as a chief guest, founder, president, and chancellor, Symbiosis International Deemed University, Dr. S.B. Majumdar, pro vice chancellor and principal director of Symbiosis International University, Dr. Vidya Yeravdekar. Our director, Brigadier Dr. Rajiv Divekar, sir, faculty members of the SIMS, and our transformational student managers. At this conference, we'll be simulating Lok Sabha, AIPPM, and national press.
These committees, sorry Komal, I probably lost my internet connection. These committees would be discussing pressing issues that our country is facing, and our young parliamentarians would be debating, discussing, and deliberating in order to find solutions to the issues at hand. We are proud to announce that we have collaborated with Teach for India as a social initiative, and we are having underprivileged kids from FT High School, Ahmedabad, who are also going to be participating at the conference. We now take this opportunity to request our very own Honorable Brigadier Dr. Rajiv Divekar, sir, to come and address the batch.
Thank you, Ratan, and thank you, Komal Preet. Honorable Shri Suresh Prabhu, member of Rajya Sabha and former Minister for Civil Aviation, Railways, Commerce and Industry. Dr. S.B. Majumdar, Chancellor, Symbiosis International University, and Dr. Vidya Yeravdekar, Pro-Chancellor, Symbiosis International University, faculty, and dear transformational student leaders of SIMS MBA batch. A very warm welcome to all to SIMS virtual inaugural session of the Youth Parliament organized by SIMS student MUN team, Model United Nations team. As an individual and a responsible citizen, it is necessary that one understands the governance of the nation and the various processes involved in it. One of the three pillars and most important one is the legislature. For that, it is necessary to understand the functioning of the parliament and to know how any issues are tabled, discussed, deliberated upon and debated, how voting on the bills takes place and how they become laws and acts. This is even more important to management students as any laws or acts that come into force have a direct impact on business. Accordingly, companies have to reorganize, restructure, reorientate to the changed laws. As a student manager, communication is the key to success. No amount of knowledge, skill, or attitude will help you if one's communication is not good. Even within that, one has to be an effective communicator, meaning that one should be articulating one's thoughts or a point of view in a very simple, logical, and effective manner that is easily understood by others. The ability to understand an issue, discuss or debate it articulately and effectively state one's views makes one a good communicator and leader. To be able to improve or hone one's communication skills, it is important that one takes advantage of events such as Youth Parliament or Model United Nations that SIMS organizes and participate in them. As a corporate, you will be working towards business development and in the process making presentations, participating in discussions, presenting concepts or strategy, etc. In all these, communications is the key. Climbing the corporate ladder is as much dependent on communication as anything else. Youth Parliament aims at grooming students into leaders of tomorrow and to empower them and make them confident communicators and effective leaders. I'm happy that a large number of you have registered for this event and will be participating in the 2 debates that will be taking place after this inaugural session. I wish all the participants the very best. Discuss, debate, deliberate, but at the end, remember to maintain decorum in doing so. That is important. Look forward to a day full of enthusiastic and interesting debates, repartees, and discussions. SIMS is blessed that for this important event, we have the Honorable Shri Suresh Prabhu, who is an erudite speaker and a highly experienced and respected parliamentarian as the chief guest. His views, thoughts, and opinions are always insightful and visionary, and it is always a pleasure and an honor to listen to him. We are also blessed to have our Chancellor, Dr. S.B. Majumdar, whose vision and mission has resulted in this world-famous Symbiosis International University that we are proud of. A small idea of a cultural Symbiosis Cultural Center has now grown into the mighty Symbiosis International University, whose campuses have spread across the nation. He is a thought leader, a karma yogi, and an excellent orator. Also gracing the function is our Pro-Chancellor, Dr. Vidya Yeravdekar, under whose dynamism Symbiosis International University is a Category 1 university and ranked 43rd in the National Institutional Ranking Framework. She too is very articulate and an erudite speaker and an effective leader. I thank the dignitaries for accepting our invite and welcome them to this inaugural session of the SIMS Youth Parliament. Thank you and Jai Hind.
Thank you so much for the address, sir. I would now take this opportunity to welcome Dr. Vidya Yeravdekar. Ma'am is the principal director of Symbiosis Society, which encompasses Symbiosis School, College of Arts and Commerce, an institution under Symbiosis International University. She's also the Pro-Chancellor of Symbiosis International Deemed University. Dr. Vidya holds a postgraduate degree in medicine a degree in law, and PhD in internationalization of higher education in India. She's been instrumental in bringing innovative
सांगितलं का?
approaches.
तर ते अजून त्यांनी दुसऱ्याला दिलं त्याला सांग मला माझं फ्लाईट मिस चुकेल मग.
Sure, sir. Ratan, if we could just
Um,
you
ask
can
sir
cut
to
down
add.
on the introductions, Ms. Kaur. Mr. Prabhu knows us very well, so you.
Sure, ma'am. Ma'am, we would now just request you to address the batch post which we can move on.
Yes, ma'am, because I guess sir technically has a rescheduling in the flight and he needs to leave early. So that is why there was a problem.
And we'll just request you to address the batch and then we can move on.
Thank you very much. Mr. Suresh Prabhu ji, a close friend of the Symbiosis family, more importantly, a very dear friend of Dr. Majumdar sir and our family. We know him for several years. Our Chancellor, Dr. S.B. Majumdar sir, Brigadier Devekar, the Director of SIMS, faculty members, and my dear students. It's indeed a pleasure this morning to once again be with Mr. Suresh Prabhu ji, who we admire and idolize with. Personally, I've had very close interactions with him, both formally and informally, when he was the Minister for Commerce and he appointed me on the governing board of the Services Export Promotion Council, and I've seen the way he functions, as well as when he was the Minister for Railways, when I had the opportunity to be on a PSU as an independent director on rides. Apart from that, the kind of WhatsApp messages that I see every day coming from him, I don't know how he manages his time, but he addresses young students, to parliamentarians, to international audience, to common citizens. And not only that he addresses these people, but takes time to even write articles in leading newspapers. I think he's been more busy than what he was as a minister. And I'm glad that he has decided to spend this morning with us. When I saw the topic on which he's going to address or in which the students are going to debate on, it was very intriguing because I thought such topics would be only discussed in law schools. But Brigadier Devekar, I'm very glad that you've chosen this topic in a business school, because as much as the law students need to know about what is happening in the Lok Sabha, I think it's more important that decision makers from the corporate world are equally in the know-how of the debates that happen in Lok Sabha and become active participants of these debates. So I'm not going to take much time because we're eager to listen to Dr. Majumdar sir and of course Mr. Prabhu. So sir, once again, I welcome you to the Symbiosis family. And this is your family, I would say, and I hope that we find more occasions for you to address many more students. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your insightful address. So now it is time to introduce and welcome our chief guest for the Youth Parliament 2021, an eminent politician, chartered accountant, and an environment lover. Ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, Ratan.
Dr.
you may go
Majumdar
ahead.
sir is here, so he will also.
Yes, yes.
Ma'am, okay, because ma'am, what is happening is Suresh Prabhu sir is requesting that he wants to speak right now
Yeah.
because he has to leave for his flight.
Prabhu sir.
Oh, can I
If
speak?
Prabhu sir is, if Prabhu sir is,
2 मिनिटं.
I'll just speak, yeah.
हा दादा बोलणार आहेत सर.
So,
2 मिनिटं. मुजुमदार सर बोलणार आहेत 2 मिनिटं.
my dear friends, sorry,
प्रभू सर.
can I speak, right?
मुजुमदार सर 2 मिनिटं बोलतायत. तेही आहेत इथे.
ठीक आहे, बोलू दे.
Ratan, we'll do that.
ma'am, can I
Ratan,
introduce
just
sir?
request Majumdar
Let's-
sir to
Yeah,
speak.
can I? Sure. Today, it is our immense honor to have amongst us Professor Dr. S.B. Majumdar, who is the founder and president, Symbiosis Society, and Chancellor, Symbiosis International Deemed University. A renowned academic and educationalist, he has received civilian honor many times by the Government of India. He was awarded the Padma Shri in 2005 and Padma Bhushan in 2012. He was also awarded Punya Bhushan in 2009. He has been felicitated with various other accolades, which includes Maharashtra Gaurav Award and the FIE Foundation Award. He was the head of Department of Botany at the Ferguson College, Pune, for over 20 years. He has authored a number of books and published research papers in botany. He has also served on the Executive Council, Senate, and the Academic Council of the University of Pune for several years. Sir, we would now like you to address the gathering.
Namaste to all of you. The distinguished chief guest for today's function, Shri Suresh Prabhu. I regard Suresh Prabhu as a family member of Symbiosis and family member of Majumdar. We have been listening to him for so many occasions. My only request to him is he should find time to come physically to our university and physically address our students so that our students will get energized. Whenever I see Suresh Prabhu, I myself get some energy, some buoyancy, and whenever I listen to him, I get lot of ideas. So Suresh Prabhuji, thank you so much for accepting our invitation. And I'm glad that you are going to speak on the role of youth in India's development. As all my students know, in any country, youth and only youth constitute the engine of growth and development. And therefore, I'm glad that India, which is the youngest country in the world, is having so many, there are more than 50% youth below the age of 25, and they have to think about the future. And therefore, I'm glad that youth development is going to be the crucial topic of today's discussion and debate. Well, what should I say about youth parliament? All of us see what is happening in parliament nowadays, both in Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha. Less we speak about that, better for us. But gone are the days when I used to listen to wonderful speeches delivered by Nath Pai, Barrister Khadrekar, and so many stalwarts, even Pilu Modi and many others. So it is for students now to think whether we should follow the present parliamentarians or whether we should evolve our own standards of debate, discussion, because I do believe that debate, discussion, and then decision constitute the bedrock of democracy. And unfortunately, slowly, progressively, but very sadly, these things are missing nowadays in Parliament. It is for youth to correct the situation, and I will be happy if our SIMS student, our institute produces some excellent parliamentarians like Suresh Prabhu. Whenever Suresh Prabhu stands to speak, there is always pin drop silence. I remember once he had come to Symbiosis to deliver the address on interlinking of rivers. The house was full. And once he started speaking, it was pin drop silence. And his way of speech, his way of argument, his way of convincing people was so beautiful and effective that at the end of his speech, everyone stood spontaneously and gave him the standing ovation. I'm glad that such a person is with us. Again, Sureshji, our students, faculty, and all of us are hungry for your physical presence on this campus. And I'm sure you will find some day, some occasion to address our students personally. Thank you, Sureshji, for accepting our invitation. And I'm sure you're going to ignite our students of SIMS, and our students of SIMS have a beautiful background. They come from families of armed forces, military, Air Force, and Navy. So without taking much of your time, I once again thank Suresh Prabhuji for accepting our invitation. So please go ahead with your agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir, for your insightful address. Suresh, sir, just a small introduction of yours. I'll quickly run through it. So it is time to introduce our chief guest for the Youth Parliament 2021.
Can you do one thing? Can you introduce me afterwards? Is it possible? Can
Absolutely,
I speak
sir.
first and then you can introduce me?
Sure, absolutely.
Sure, sir.
Absolutely. As you say, sir.
Okay. So I am just trying to do this because for a program like this, I didn't want to miss it. I didn't want to miss the opportunity of paying my great respect to Dr. Majumdar, I didn't want to miss the opportunity of also expressing the appreciation of the good work that Dr. Vidya is doing. I didn't want to miss the opportunity of meeting my young friends and relive the life of youth, which I lost. And I don't think I will be able to do that at least in this life anymore. And I didn't want to miss the opportunity of being on a virtual platform, if not a physical one. And I accepted already Dr. Majumdar's invitation to be there physically. And therefore, I wanted to be here, though I had to catch a flight. And that's why I'm saying I'm sorry for rushing into this. And I also, because this is a program related to Parliament, probably by doing this, what I'm doing, by changing the order of the program, I also want to give a glimpse of how the Parliament functions. The order can change anytime, and therefore the disruptions can always happen. And therefore, probably this is the right way to describe you, the way the Parliament happens. So thank you, my dear friends. Thank you, Dr. Majumdar Sahab, who is a Rishi of the education. The way he has built up this institution is just phenomenal. It's actually a success story which should be emulated by each and every individual, not only in India, but any part of the world. How a teacher becomes administrator, how the teacher becomes chancellor, how the teacher really creates an institution of such a huge significance in such a short period of time. So I think it's a great example of how it should be done. And as we always know, the genomics, that the genes of Dr. Majumdar have passed on to the next generation in Dr. Vidya and her sister. So Vidya is doing a great job. And I'm sure she will take forward the great achievement of Dr. Majumdar in the years to come. So my young friends, you are very lucky to be in a university like this. And you'll continue to strive hard to make what Dr. Majumdar's vision is. And I'm sure then we'll be very successful people. Dr. Saab, I have accepted your invitation. You tell me when I should come to Pune. I'll be more than happy to do this.
Yes,
You already called me as an integral part of your family, Majumdar family, Symbiosis family. So as a family member, you don't have to tell me when I can come. Don't have to request. You just order me and I'll be there. For any program that is there as a family function, I'll be there, and just tell me anytime. So I really accept it and I really look forward to this. It's a great experience to be in the Symbiosis. I really enjoy it and I'll be there anytime you want. So let me come, because I have to catch a flight. I'm sorry, my friends. My friends, firstly, congratulations to you. The Youth Parliament hopefully will result into, over a period of time, youth in the Parliament. The Youth Parliament is out. The youth entering the Parliament in the real sense of the term. Because India is 65% of India is less than 35 years of age. So how can we not represent, if you say that Parliament represents the people of India, then even age-wise, they should be also there. And therefore, I have decided, because I'm more than 65, I'm 68 actually, I decided to retire from politics. So let some youngsters come in and take over. I've been 6 times in the Parliament. 4 times in Lok Sabha, representing Maharashtra, actually the constituency, Rajapur Lok Sabha constituency, which Dr. Majumdar mentioned, was represented once by stalwarts like Nathpai, Madhu Dandavate. And I'm very fortunate. I am nowhere near them, but I'm very fortunate to represent such a great constituency. Then I represented one time Rajya Sabha from Haryana, the north of India. And now I represent Andhra Pradesh from south of India. And I just entered Rajya Sabha only because in 2014, I decided to quit politics. I didn't contest the Lok Sabha election. But when Prime Minister made me a minister, he had to get me into Parliament. And therefore, I had to come into Rajya Sabha because Lok Sabha election is already over. Otherwise, I've always been in Lok Sabha. And I'll share with you some experiences. Though, unfortunately, the time is not there. But I will come, Dr. Saab. When I come there, I'll meet my young friends again. So briefly, what is Parliament? We have a choice of having to run the country by rule of law or by other means. If you accept that rule of law should be the guiding principle for running the country, then you must have a rule-making body, law-making body. So the law-making body is the Parliament. The members of Parliament are essentially lawmakers. They're legislators. They have to legislate. But the other function they have to do, and I hope I'll be able to mention that briefly little later. So law, if that is a guiding principle, how can the lawmaking power, is it unlimited? Is it something which has no restrictions on it? Can you make law on anything and anything? Yes and no. All the laws that Parliament passes must pass the test of compliance to the Constitution of India. The Constitution is supreme, though we can say people are sovereign, and the Parliament therefore has a sovereign authority of doing whatever they feel like. Yes and no, because Supreme Court has held in a very landmark judgment that Parliament can amend the Constitution, but the basic tenets of Constitution, the basic spirit of Constitution can never be amended. That's beyond the Parliament's power. You have to probably set up a new Constitutional Assembly. In a way, Parliament also is a Constitutional Assembly because it changes the Constitution. But as Supreme Court has held that you cannot change the basic structure of the Constitution. So within that, Parliament can pass laws on any subject. But my young friends, we should be conscious of one thing. That by making too many laws, we can justify our existence as a lawmaker that I am making too many laws. Is it good for the society? If you make a law for a society, which society is expected to follow, are you consulting the society while making the laws? We represent the people because they elect us. But is that representation, when it was sought from the people, when I sought the vote from the people, did I tell them I'm going to make this particular law and therefore you please give me your consent? Have I got the informed consent of my people who are supposed to be following the laws? So making too many laws is not a good idea, even in a country which is supposed to be following rule of law. So make laws where necessary, but then make too many laws in the country. That should be the very important part. The second part is, which I said, where to get a mandate to make the laws? You obviously get a mandate as a member of Parliament. But when you are making laws on very complex subjects, which is going to impact the lives of people directly. For example, you are all young people. If the Parliament was to make a law that no youth can be outside their house after 5 p.m. or 7 p.m. or 8 p.m., what would be your reaction, my friends? We can make the law because we have the power. And this does not violate, as I said, the basic principle that we are not violating, we are not changing the basic structure of the Constitution. So I have not tried to make the law. But is it a good idea to make a law like this? Can I make a law that only people in citizens of India can work only from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m.? That's all, nothing more. Can I make a law like this? I can, but should I? So making law, as you have the power, does not mean you should make law on anything and everything that you feel like. You should first and foremost follow a fundamental principle that make a law which will make society function better, which will conform to the ethos of the society. And in today's case, and you are there, that's why I'm mentioning it also again and reiterating it, that it represents the aspiration of the people, the youth. Because when you make a law today, it should last for so many years more. So why making law? You can have passed the test, the constitutionality is there, but that, and then also you can always claim that I have a mandate because I am a member of Parliament, but that does not mean that I can make a law ignoring the realities and understanding the people's psyche. There are the countries like Switzerland, small country. They decide to do any policy, forget law, any major policy. They go for referendum. Then people decide. And the government only responds, parliament only takes into consideration the views of the people. We don't have a system like this, and it is not even practical. How can you expect 1.3 crore people, 130 crore people, 1.3 billion people to go and tell you every now and then about referendum? Then we'll have to constantly have referendum only. But unless we must develop a system that is not there today, there is a party system, I'll explain to you, but we must develop a proper institutionalized mechanism wherein while passing the law, the parliament must consult all the stakeholders. There is a one system where it, because all the bills supposed to be, though it doesn't happen always, goes to the standing committee of the parliament. And therefore, every ministry, there is a separate standing committee. The standing committee is supposed to consult all the stakeholders, get their views, and then recommend to the parliament that what should be the law. The standing committee also consists of members of parliament, but each standing committee typically has about 30-40 members, and every member of parliament gets an opportunity to be on one standing committee and one committee which is called consultative committee. Standing committee is never chaired by the minister, it is chaired by a member of parliament. The consultative committee is always chaired by the minister, concerned minister of that ministry. And the standing committee can call anybody, excluding the minister. They cannot call the minister, but they can call any secretary, any stakeholders for consultation. They call secretaries all the time. And not attending a meeting of the standing committee by the secretary will be considered as a violation of the principle that members of parliament or the government is accountable to the parliament. So this is the system is there, but we nearly need to develop more robust system wherein there will be an institutionalized mechanism before we make the law. The views of the people should be ascertained properly. Now, this is generally which is affecting people's lives, but there are sectors like take education. The government passes laws on regulating education. I understand regulation is necessary. But when you make a law, which cannot even be implemented by any university, you make a law which makes the lives of the administrator of university difficult. Is it a good idea or a bad idea? When there was a Gurukul system in India, which we always keep praising about and be proud about, was there any law restricting Gurukuls? Was there anything that said that Gurukul must have, a teacher must conform to so many years education, this qualification, he must have paid so many papers, he must have peer reviewed? Do you make laws? Did you make laws like that? Or because there was no law, can you say the Gurukul system was not as good as it should have been? So law, when you make laws on some sectors, education, healthcare, infrastructure, anything, business, we should also keep in mind what is the purpose of that law. The government acquiring power for what? You already have power, you are a government. But acquiring more power, making bureaucrats more powerful, and not allowing the natural instinct of the citizens of India who are running some institution to make them run properly is a good idea or a bad idea. Nobody questions the right of the government to make laws. Or the government doesn't make law, parliament makes laws, but the government proposes to the parliament. I don't have time, otherwise I would have explained to the process how it happens. But the point is, lawmaking, because the parliament has a power, doesn't mean you should make laws on any subject and every subject, and we should not consult anybody. It's not the right way to do it. The law-abiding citizens will abide the law only when they believe in the law. If they don't believe in the law, you'll never expect the citizens to follow the law. You can bring the police, you can bring the administration to administer the law. But if people don't believe in the law, how will they follow? If you tell them, for example, I just give an example, which is a weird example, which is not a good example to give, but still I give an example just to underscore the point. If I make a law saying that no citizen should love the child, can any citizen will follow the law? Because they will not follow the law, because loving a child is an intrinsic part of my life, my psyche. How can you therefore make a law like this? But if you make a law which people believe in and people would like to follow, but there are some citizens don't want to follow the law, so you make the law wherein the larger citizens will feel better off and a smaller minority which is deliberately not following certain principles that others want to follow, the law will help them to follow. But if you make the large citizens of the country don't believe in certain practices and you try to make a law like this, it will not be right. For example, let us give another example. There is to be a practice of sati in India. A woman, when he loses a husband, sometimes or most of the times was forced to throw herself, or she was thrown into the burning pyre of her husband. Was it a good practice? It was a practice in India, but not a good practice in India. So we made a law, it's a correct law. But if you make a country law saying that every woman should go for a sati, will it be a good idea? So you must clearly understand that certain anti-social practices which people largely don't believe in, you must make law on this, but you should not make a law on a subject wherein large number of people have a different ethos and you don't tell them follow. Like for example, you make a law that people should not celebrate Diwali. People should not celebrate Eid. People should not celebrate Guru Nanak Jayanti. Will be a good idea. But if you make a law saying that you celebrate Diwali, which is your right, but don't burn too many crackers. Sensible law. So you must always understand the fine line between your unbridled power of making laws, but we should be also governed by certain common sense and principles and societal thinking. Now let me go to the other point, because I know you have to also have so many other speakers speaking, and I have to catch a flight, unfortunately, my dear friend, sorry. One more function the parliamentarians are supposed to perform. Lawmaking is one part. But they are elected to the parliament, essential to make laws, but that's not the only expectation of the people from them. The people expect them to address some of the larger social issues, concerns. If there's a farmer's distress, you can address it by law, but you also must discuss it. There's a price rise, you must discuss it. There's a terrorism growing in society, you must discuss it. There are unemployment in the country, you must discuss it. So such issues may be and should be and could be addressed by the law, but that is not the only function of the parliament. They must discuss it to draw the attention of the government, because the another important function of the parliament is to make the government accountable to the parliament and therefore to the people of India. The government, there are three main functions of under the constitution. One is executive, which is the government, the legislature, which is the parliament, and judiciary, which is the courts. So the parliament is sovereign, therefore the executive, the government is accountable to the parliament. To make them accountable, the government must explain the actions to the people through the parliament. And that is another important function that has to be performed by the parliament, of making people accountable. There are many rules which have been made for that. There are calling attention motion. There are short duration discussion. There are discussions under various rules of the parliament, wherein discussion can happen without voting at the end of it, or discussion can happen ultimately culminating to voting, so that government can be censured through the vote if their parliament feels that action of the government is not right on a particular subject. So there are many areas of that. When passing bill, of course, there are elaborate rules. First reading, second reading, third reading, amendments, many things. So rules also govern the functioning of the parliament. the speaker in case of Lok Sabha and the chairman of Rajya Sabha, who is ex officio chairman because he's the vice president of the country. Both have a huge power and they are supposed to be very well respected because they respect the chair. So no one can disrespect the chair. That's the basic principle of running the parliament. There are two houses, Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha. Both the houses, that's the fundamental principle. You should follow the speaker or the chairman. In fact, I'll tell you something. In my whole life, 26 years now in the parliament, I never once disobeyed the order of the speaker, or when I was Lok Sabha, or now the order of the chairman or the deputy chairman who is presiding the Rajya Sabha. Never. I never entered the veil of the parliament. Never. I followed the rules. Sometimes when I was speaking, even the opposition MP that said, let him allow to speak more, but speaker said, no, your time is over. So I sat down. Even when I wanted to make some more points, I never allowed. But that is very important, to follow the speaker, follow the rules. So rules govern the functioning of the parliament. To be a good parliamentarian, you must know the rules, but also to find out how the rules can be used to raise people's views. Dr. Saab mentioned about great parliamentarians. There are Ramona Lohia. There are Madhu Limai. There was Pilu Modi. There was George Fernandes. There was Atal Bihari Vajpayee. L.K. Advani. All great parliamentarians. You will not believe it. If you go to L.K. Advani, even now, he's more than 95, I think, and ask him something, he will tell you the rule of the parliament or constitutional provision or something which happened many, many years ago. But so how did they succeed as a great parliamentarian? They use rules, but they also used to know how to make use of a rule to benefit their argument. There was a time when all these stalwarts, and that time all the stalwart parliamentarians are from opposition party because Congress was the ruling party, and when you are in opposition only, you can make best use of your parliamentary tools. When they used to do, there was a time when Madhu Limai and others used to raise some issue in the parliament, the media used to cover it. So the media's coverage was on the issues which are raised by the members of parliament in opposition at that time, obviously, because they will only raise the issue against the government when we are in opposition. But then came the time when parliament started discussing issues which are reported in the press. So just imagine the change. MP raising issue was the news in the parliament, and then subsequently what is reported in the parliament was reported in the newspaper was raised in the parliament. So now you have to be, as young parliamentarians, which you will, I'm sure you will be, you must learn them, the old great veteran parliamentarians, politicians, but also not necessarily guided by them. But I will advise you, read the debates in the Constituent Assembly to understand why the Constitution is made like this. Very interesting, very educative debates. Read the old debates, but my sincere advice to you is that be on your own. Learn from others, but never lose your own identity, your own inherent thinking, internal ideas. Work on that. So Parliament, now we are celebrating 75 years of independence. When we had 50 years of India's independence, I had written an article that time Speaker Mr. Sangma had asked me to write. And I said about the changes that are necessary in the Parliament. How to make Parliament more effective. That time, of course, my experience was limited. Now I've got even more experience of functioning in the Parliament. So I can even talk about it more, but that's not a function for today. As to how we should try to now bring a new level of parliamentary accountability. How do you make the Parliament function better? How do you make relationship between Parliament and the people far, far different? Many issues. We need debate and discussion. But that's not for today. Sorry, I have to catch a flight. I'm looking at time all the time. But I wish you a great success. Dr. Saab, I will be very happy to come to Symbiosis, not just once, but many, many times.
Thank you so
I
much.
interest in many subjects. We can discuss that. I already requested Vidya. I'm calling her Vidya because she's like my younger sister. So she's a Dr. Vidya, and very important function in your university, but I'm just calling her like that because she's younger to me. And I always call her by what I remember. So I call her like that because she's even younger than what she's. For many years, I've been watching her. So I've seen her even younger than what she is today. So we are working on making a Chancellor Summit, wherein we like to debate issues related to education, not in just an academic forum, but as Chancellor. In fact, I just become a Chancellor of University, and I visited it yesterday for the first time. The Rishu University, very good university, of course not as fantastic, as big, as robust as Symbiosis. No one else can be. But we'll work together and we'll work together. But Dr. Saab, I promise you, every now and then, whenever you invite me, I'll be more than happy to come to Symbiosis. If you invite me every month, I'll be happy to do that. If you want me to be a visiting professor, I'll like to do that. I'm actually an adjunct professor for the National Institute of Advanced Studies. And I keep speaking at various universities globally all the time. So I'll be very happy to do that. But I would promise you that your mission, Dr. Saab, of making education the world's best in India, we like to fulfill it under your guidance, under your leadership. So thank you very much. And I really appreciate this opportunity and congratulate my young friends for participating in this debate. But as you know, the debate is meant for not scoring point. It is not just one-upmanship. Debate is for finding out whose argument is better. So you must be a good listener if you want to be a good debater. You must be able to consider a point when you think somebody else has a better idea. And end of it, the whole idea of debate is to come out as a society, as a group, far better than what we were before the debate started. If the debate is only to score point or one another, I think there is no purpose in such a debate. So I hope this youth parliament will debate and discuss all the issues in a way that to make parliament function better in the years to come. Thank you very much. God bless you all.
Thank you so much, sir, for your insightful address. I just have one thing to tell you. You said that you've now become 68 and you cannot get the youth back. But I think everybody would agree that we probably had a 68-year young mind talking to all of us today. So thank you so much for taking out the time and speaking to all of us here at the Symbiosis family.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank
you. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Now we would request faculty in charge of SIMS MUNsociety, Ms. Smita Mehendle ma'am, to kindly pay a vote of thanks.
Thank you, Komalpreet. On behalf of Symbiosis Institute of Management Studies, I take immense pleasure in proposing the vote of thanks today. I express my sincere gratitude to our Honorable Chief Guest, Shri Suresh Prabhu, Member of Rajya Sabha, for sparing time for us and enlightening us with his thoughts on the role of youth in our nation's development. Sir, your virtual presence and inspiring words have left a lasting impact on all of us. We sincerely hope to host you in person in the near future and look forward to your support and encouragement in our endeavor in making a difference to the society and our country. Thank you so much. I wish to also express gratitude to our Honorable Chancellor, Dr. S.B. Majumdar, whose presence itself is a source of inspiration for all of us at SIMS. Thank you very much, sir, for gracing this occasion and giving us one more opportunity to hear your kind, gentle, and inspiring words. I also express our heartfelt gratitude to our Pro-Chancellor, Dr. Vidya Yeravdekar, for sparing time to grace the occasion. We look up to you, ma'am, with admiration and affection, and your presence today means a lot to us. A special thanks to our director, Sir Brigadier Dr. Rajiv Divekar, for his unfaltering support. Every step forward in SIMS is a reflection of his vision and confidence in his team and students alike. I thank the faculty and staff of SIMS for their presence. I also take this opportunity to wish good luck to all participants of Youth Parliament 2021 who have shown great enthusiasm in preparing for this event. Remember, there comes a time when silence is betrayal, And this is that time. So speak up for your nation and its people. Finally, for my SIMS MUN team, I pray that all our efforts be blessed today. With the best wishes of all present here, I am sure this event will be a success. And thank you all for being with us today. Have a wonderful day ahead.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Smita ma'am. I would now like to invite Honorable Professor Dr. S.B. Majumdar sir to officially declare the Youth Parliament 2021 open.
I declare Youth Parliament to open.
Thank you so much, sir. I
Thank
would
you
now
so much, sir.
request the executive board members, the parliamentarians, to move to this respective committees on MS Teams.
Chancellor, sir, thank you.
Thank
sir.
you so much, sir, for joining. Thank you, Divekar, sir.